This video is for those who want to get shredded. What I'm gonna share in this video will work for anybody who wants to lose weight. If you wanna just get a little bit leaner, everything that I'm gonna talk about in this video will help you. But this video is especially for those who want to push themselves to maximize leanness, to achieve their absolute best shredded physique. Ab veins, six pack, crazy definition, that V shape, all that, like cobra wings, you know, when you can see your back from the front, like Bruce Lee style. In this video, I'm gonna give you 10 tips. They are practical steps. They're not just some bullshit. This shit you can apply in your day-to-day life, and what it's gonna do is gonna help you overcome hunger, feel more satiated, feel fuller while dieting, and ultimately it will help you achieve your goal. I could make a separate video about each of these things, but I'm just gonna briefly explain. I'm gonna tell you what the strategy is, and I'm gonna tell you why it is effective, and then I'm gonna move on. If you want me to make separate videos on any of these, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I will take notes of what people want to hear more about, and I'm gonna make more videos about those things. But like I said, this video I wanna keep it straight to the point, short, sweet, practical step, why it's effective, then move on. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. First tip is I recommend you eat high volume, low calorie foods. For example, if we're talking about, obviously everybody knows that vegetables are low calorie and high volume. You can have a big salad and it's gonna have almost no calories in it. There's a bunch of foods. I'm gonna make a list right here and I'm gonna put it in front of you so you can maybe take a screenshot of it. There's a bunch of foods, you know, you can include in your diet, which will increase the amount of food that you eat, but it's not gonna be dense in calories. You know what I mean? So things like, if we talk about vegetables, things like cucumber, lettuce, like all the greens, right? Broccoli, you can have a lot of volume of those foods for virtually no calories, right? If we talk about fruits, for example, it's like berries, right? Strawberries, blueberries, watermelon, stuff like that. They're very juicy. They're very high in water, right? Wet fruit, the juicy fruit that fills you up, gives you nutrients, micronutrients and stuff like that, gives you energy and makes you feel better, satisfies your cravings, and you don't have a lot of calories with those type of foods. So this is my number one tip. Maximize the foods in your diet that give you more volume for less calories. This leads me to my second tip, which is I recommend you follow a low-fat diet. The reason why is because fat is the most calorically dense macronutrient. It's 9 calories per gram versus protein and carbs are only 4 calories per gram. And fat has no volume. You know, if you look at a tablespoon of oil, which is like this big, it has like 120 calories in it or something like that, and no volume, right? You have that tablespoon of olive oil, healthy, right? But it gives you no satiation, it gives you no energy, real energy, versus like carbs do, right? And it's just not a smart way to diet, in my opinion. So again, if we come back to that tablespoon of oil, what's gonna satiate you more? Oil or an apple? Of course, if you have an apple, that will curb your appetite pretty well. You know what I mean? And it give you those quick, simple sugars, simple carbohydrates will go right through you, man, will go right through your liver into your bloodstream. You will feel energy boost from it, and it gives you volume, right? So it gives you actual food that your stomach needs to digest, and actually spend some energy digesting that, because protein and carbs have a higher thermic effect, which means your body spends more energy digesting those type of foods versus fat. Fat, your body basically doesn't need to do anything to digest it. Fat is stored as fat, so if your goal is to lose body fat, you better minimize dietary fat intake, mostly for the satiety reasons. But again, I could make a separate video talking just about why low fat diet is superior to high fat diet, and yeah, I hope I'm making sense here. Tip number 3, stay hydrated. This is really simple, you know. A lot of people confuse thirst for hunger, and one simple trick that you can include in your daily life that will inevitably help you feel more satiated after your meals is right before you sit down to have your meal, chug a bunch of water. A glass, 2 glasses, grab a chug of water and just chug that shit until you feel like your stomach filled up a little bit, and then go eat your food. Will water satisfy your hunger? No, but it will fill your stomach up. And then after drinking your water, you have your meal. I guarantee you will get fuller quicker. You will need to eat less food to feel more satiated, and that will ultimately help you consume less calories, which will help you get shredded quicker. Staying hydrated leads me to my next tip. Tip number 4 is drink either sparkling water or diet soda. There's something about those sparkling beverages, right? The bubbles in soft drinks that also like fill up the stomach, right? And gives you this sort of fake sense of satiation. But listen, man, every time I decide, I'm gonna diet to really get shredded, really diced, this is one of my top tricks, man, that I use. I might have some diet soda in the first half of the day, and then in the second half of the day, in the evening, I'll be sipping on, something that doesn't have any caffeine in it. So it may be sparkling water, or maybe like zero sugar Sprite or something like that. This trick is definitely effective. It will help you curb the hunger, reduce appetite. Next tip I want to talk about is intermittent fasting. And here's why. In the fasting period of the day, you might feel more hungry, but because you have all of your calories in a certain amount of time, like a denser window, right? It allows you to enjoy bigger meals. And obviously you're gonna feel more satiated after having this much food versus this much food. Now, if you're a person who doesn't like that feeling of, your stomach being full, and you prefer to have smaller meals throughout the day, this tip is not for you. But I am somebody who likes to have a lot of food in one sitting and feel, feel really like full and satisfied, feel like I ate like a king type of shit, you know what I mean? And so this tip for me is definitely effective. And if you're somebody like me who likes to have bigger meals, I recommend you push your first meal later in the day. When you wake up, don't eat breakfast. Have your coffee, have your sparkling water, have your diet soda. Maybe push your first meal to noon or 1 p.m. or whatever. And another tip that kind of goes along with this is I recommend you stop eating at least 2 hours before your bedtime. The reason why is because it creates that sort of like discipline, right, with your eating habits, but it's also gonna lead to better sleep, and you wanna allow your body to digest the food that you ate throughout your day. In the last couple hours before you go to bed, you want your body to be done with the major digestive processes, which will lead to better sleep, better quality sleep. And everybody knows that sleep is very important when you're trying to get in better shape. I don't care if it's strength goals or aesthetic goals like losing body fat, sleep is important. So for those reasons, I would recommend intermittent fasting, so pushing your first meal a little bit later in the day. And I don't mean eat your food in 1 hour or eat 1 meal per day or whatever, I mean, if you used to wake up and eat right away, maybe stop doing that and push your first meal a couple hours later. And then, if you're somebody who goes to bed at 10 p.m., stop eating at 7, just be more disciplined about it. It's not about restriction. It's not about eating less. It's just about having a defined block of time in your day when you consume your food, and then having the rest of the time in your day you don't consume any calories. It's just gonna it's gonna make you a better person. It's gonna make you more disciplined, more structured, and it's easier to get lean, lose body fat, and ultimately get shredded when you're following a structure. Tip number 6 is caffeine. I'm not even gonna elaborate on that. Everybody knows that coffee curbs appetite, it boosts energy, it boosts cognitive, focus and all that. So yeah, for those reasons, coffee is definitely one of the tools on my list, and I love it. It's definitely effective. However, I made a mistake before where I overconsumed my caffeine, especially in the afternoon, which fucked up the quality of my sleep, and that's bad. So I don't recommend you drink any coffee in afternoon. So for me, that's my rule. I do not consume any coffee or caffeinated beverages after 12 p.m. Tip number 7 is chew gum. A lot of times we eat not out of hunger, but because of boredom. And so if you need to work out your jaws before you eat, especially if you're busy, like you're working at the computer or whatever, just chew some gum, man. And I guarantee you that will help you forget about eating for a while and ultimately eat less food and achieve your goal of getting shredded easier. Which that leads me to my next tip: stay busy. I want to mention and make an example of cyber sport guys, the computer, like video game addicts. A lot of those guys are skinny as hell, and they're not skinny because they get crazy amount of activity, man. They're skinny because they are so zoned in into their screen, and they're so focused on their video games, that those guys literally forget to eat. And this is something that you can apply. I'm not saying go play video games, or maybe that's the case. Maybe you should entertain playing video games if you have some free time on your hands. But you can use that time to be productive. Spend extra time to work on something that you're passionate about. Maybe come up with an idea to do something with your family. Grab your wife, grab your kids, and be like, yo, let's go to the park, or let's play this game, or whatever that might be. If you have a hobby, go do that. Or if you don't have a hobby, maybe find a hobby. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's making music. I don't know. Find a hobby, find something to do, get busy, get passionate about it, zone in, get in the flow state. I guarantee you will forget about food, and that is something that you can not just apply as a strategy to get lean. That is something that you can build in your lifestyle, which will help you get lean and stay lean for the rest of your life. Instead of eating when you're bored, you go do that thing that you're passionate about, that you enjoy doing, that you have fun doing. Tip number 9 is go for a walk. There's been so many times, I can't tell you, man, when I felt hungry, but I looked at my Apple Watch and I was like, yo, I didn't hit my steps for the day yet. And I would grab my wife and I would be like, yo, let's go for a little walk. And we would go for a walk, and 10 minutes later, it's like I wasn't even hungry. Like in the middle of my walk, my wife and I were walking and we're having a nice conversation. We may be talking about whatever, but I'm not thinking about food. And I don't feel the actual physical hunger, like it's disappeared. I don't know how to explain it, man, but somehow it's definitely connected to boredom, probably. But maybe it's because, when you're walking, especially in nature, you enter flow state. And in flow state, you don't need anything. You're just being. You're just enjoying the moment. And that's how you lose that sense of needing anything, including food. And yeah, man, it's just as much physical as it is spiritual, man. Definitely effective. And not to talk about, increasing your activity, walking will help you burn more calories, which also aids your goal of getting lean. So walk, that will help you curb your appetite, eliminate hunger, burn more calories, get shredded quicker. And that leads me to my final tip, which is my favorite: a workout. Any type of workout, but there's one specific thing that I want to mention. So any type of workout guaranteed will make you forget about food. Okay? It doesn't have to be big workout, it doesn't have to be super heavy workout, it doesn't have to be super intense workout. Something like push-ups, something like dips, something like pull-ups, For somebody, it's some walking lunges. For somebody, it's whatever you like, whatever you're into. You're into CrossFit, you're into Olympic lifting, you're into circuit training, you're into boxing, you're into swimming, you're into running. Go do that thing that you like. Go do your favorite workout. Again, it's gonna aid you burning more calories, burning more fat, achieving your goal of getting shredded quicker. But again, if in the moment you realize that you're dealing with some cravings, especially if it's bad cravings, that's one way to eliminate it. And I already mentioned that I want to talk about something specific. So what I was going to mention is jump rope. I can't remember where I read it, but I read somewhere that when you're doing the jump rope, it creates this sort of like gut disturbance, like the whole process of you jumping and like bouncing on your toes, your stomach inside of you is shaking like this, right? Which that physical process of your organs shaking inside of you does something that eliminates hunger. Sorry, I can't explain it in the perfect like scientific terms and shit like that, but somewhere I read that tip and I was like, yo, that actually makes sense. Let me implement that strategy when I'm on the cut. And I've been doing that and it's definitely effective. So again, tip number 10 is workout, but especially I recommend if you're into jump rope, I recommend you to try jump rope. It's definitely effective. So there you go. Those are my 10 tips. If you want me to go in depth on any of these, like I said, I could make a separate video of talking about just one of these things and going in depth, giving you guys examples of how I've applied it in my personal experience and how I shared it with my clients and they achieved their results. So if you have any specific topics that you want me to talk more about, please leave a comment below. If you want to get a hold of me for coaching or you want to connect with me, you can do that on Instagram at shark.strong. And yeah, I thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, if you found it valuable, leave a like, comment, subscribe to my channel. You know how it works. And yeah guys, I appreciate you all and I'll see you in the next video.